My name is Shane Bass. I'm the Director of Medical Education for Sports Tech Medical. I want to thank you all for making it through the interview process and joining our team. We're very proud to have you on board. As you can see behind me, I'm in our lab in San Diego, a place that I look forward to showing off to you in the days to come. The video that you're about to watch is set up specifically for you.
Hey guys, this is Mason Burns. I'm on Team North San Diego, and I've been a rep for 10 months.
My name is Josh Gumbert. I'm on Team Hawaii and have been with Sports Tech for almost 9 years.
My name is Matt Mueller. I am the territory manager out here in the great state of Hawaii. I have been a rep for about 10 years. Robert always accuses me of rounding up, but I believe I am approaching my 10-year mark.
Hello, my name is James Scott. I have been with Sports Tech for 2 years now. I'm a distal extremities rep with Team IE West.
My name is Alex Velasquez, and I work for Team IE West. I have been a rep for about a year now with Sports Tech Medical, and I was a rep with Modern Ortho for a year prior with them.
Hi, my name is Francisco Martinez. Welcome, all new hires. I am recording from my mobile office, my car, and I thought it'd be appropriate to prepare you that this is where you will be spending most of your time when not in surgery. I am the hand and wrist specialist for Sports Tech, and I've been working for them for almost 5 years now.
My name is Spencer Frazier, and I'm a member of Team South San Diego, and I've been with Sports Tech Medical for a little over 2 years.
My name is Tyler Nineheis. I've been a sales rep for a little bit over 4 years now. Trained in San Diego for a couple months and then shipped out to Hawaii, where I'm now part of the team out here.
Good morning, guys. My name is Mike Egley. I'm with Team North San Diego, and I've been with the company for about a year and a half now.
My name is Dane Phages, and I'm part of Team San Diego North, and I've been a rep for 7 years.
My name is Brett Midgley. I am a sales representative for San Diego Team North. I have been with Sports Tech for 15 months now. I've been in the medical industry for around 6 years.
My name is Laura Yegi. I am the manager of the IE East team, and I've been with Arthrex for 5 years.
My name is Jason Burbaum. I am with Team Hawaii, and I've been with the company coming up on 10 years.
Hi, my name is Chris Nelson. I work with Team South San Diego, and I focus mainly on distal extremities. And I've been a rep for about 3.5 years.
Hey guys, my name is Kevin. I'm out in Coachella Valley, and I've been a rep for about 4 months now.
Hi, my name is Chad Gilliam, and I'm with Coachella Valley. I've been with the company 11 months.
George Ramirez, IE West. I've been a rep since 2012.
A position under Robert Dodson. I was lucky enough to have the opportunity to work under him, and what that consisted of was about a month or two of ride-alongs, not even a month or two of ride-alongs, and then Robert began to start the tissue line. So he started Sports Tech actually right along the time that I came on board for him. What that meant was he walked me around, introduced me to the accounts. I was 23 or 24 years old. I knew nothing, and he said, "Here you go." And I envisioned my role as kind of, at that time, it was a run and gun. It was walking into accounts, shaking hands, making relationships, making sure everything was working fine, and then bouncing and doing whatever I wanted to do and growing the business however I could. It wasn't very technical at the time.
First off, I didn't really know what to expect. I knew that this was a job that involved being with doctors every day, being in surgeries pretty much every day. That's pretty much it. That I didn't know much else. I love to compete. I played sports all my life, so I knew that this was a very competitive job, and so I knew that this was something that I wanted to do, and I think I could do well at. My role, I knew that I'd be a support guy coming in. I knew that I would just be doing a ton of stuff that people would be asking me to do. So that's pretty much what I envisioned, was just doing a lot of busy work for other guys and being in surgeries and stuff like that. That's pretty much what I envisioned.
Finally got my break, and it started off on a Saturday morning at 6 a.m. And I had never been into an operating room before, so I was very excited, anxious, tired. but I made it down there, scrubbed in. My mentor told me to stand in the corner, observe, don't touch anything, and I will never forget that. I had no idea what to expect for this industry. I had just talked to some people, and I really didn't know all of the details, but that's why I was in the position I was. Now that I look back, over the years, you kind of fine-tune yourself and figure out what works and what doesn't, and you set up your day the night before. Everyone's different, but you want to be the most effective and efficient sales rep you can be, and come up with plan B and plan C, because nothing ever goes as planned.
I envision my role that I'd be really interacting with the docs, and I'd really get some hands-on stuff, including running around materials that we need for surgeries. And I think the biggest thing is that I knew that the sales part of it was going to be the priority, but mostly it's get to know the doctors and build rapport, and eventually getting to that sales process.
I think it was important to be mentored rather than to mentor, because there's so much that I don't know. There's so many do's and don'ts in medical device sales. There's so many social things to pick up on, and also surgeries, mastering the procedures. It's really important to listen and not just try to teach.
I lucked out. I was blessed by a number of incredibly gifted surgeons in my area. I was humble, I asked questions, and it was incredibly important to be mentored by those guys at that time in my career, because it made me better. And they treated me like a resident, and they took me under their wing, and they taught me the ropes for sports medicine. It's important to mentor, and mentor early. Because that's really going to solidify the things that you learn in your mind. In order for you to truly know what you're doing, you have to be able to teach it, because you're going to be telling a doctor, potentially, you're going to be giving your opinion, you're going to be telling him how to operate certain things, you're going to be able to troubleshoot something in the operating room, you're going to be doing it in a high pressure situation, and in order for you to be able to do that effectively, you have to be able to teach. You have to be able to do that. If you can't do that and do that well and explain things articulately and explain pretty incredibly complex thoughts and processes, you have to be able to do that.
I believe that being mentored, especially by your team leader, is important, because you get a sense of what you're expected to do, especially with coming from the sports tech's background. They have a very high expectations of the way you carry yourself and conduct yourself. To be able to mentor someone else, because you allow them to see what you've learned and how you are carrying yourself and how you've grown.
We need people who are in our lives who are wiser and more experienced than us, who have gone before us and have treaded a path for us, and can be vulnerable with us to tell us how we're messing up, how we can do better, how we can improve and really grow our business. And there's people around you who have been doing this for many, many, many more years than you, have been very successful, which is why they are around, and we need them. We need their expertise, we need their inputs, and everybody brings in different perspectives and different challenges that they have overcoming others. It's just great to be able to regurgitate what you have learned to others, and it helps you learn it better and to really grasp it better and to have a better grip on what you know, whether it's information on anatomy, pathology, products. Just helps you be a better rep or a better technology consultant.
It's so important for you guys to be mentored, because the biggest part of this job is just dealing with people and conflict resolution. And so, yeah, those are things that it would take a long time to learn, and you'd probably burn a lot of bridges in the process if you're just stumbling through it. It's also really important to mentor others because they're going to be in the same situation you were when you came in. So super important to be teachable.
Firstly, when it comes to being mentored, it's your way of receiving all the knowledge from people that have come before you and made mistakes and had major victories without you having to actually make those mistakes and have those victories yourself. You can take what they know, you can take what they've learned, you can take from the mistakes that they've made, and that'll prevent you from making those mistakes in the future. And in the ways of mentoring somebody, you can still learn from somebody even if they know less than you about a subject. They might have a different way of looking at it, they might have a different way of thinking about it, they can bring in some outside knowledge that you might not have even thought of, because everyone has life experiences that are valuable and can be helpful to you in many different situations. That's why so many of us have so many different backgrounds. It's best to find somebody that has the knowledge, that has the experience, that has the skills, and you suck up everything they have to say like a sponge so that you can impart it onto somebody else. And by imparting it onto somebody else, that can test your knowledge and you can learn off of them.
For one, because something I've observed in my career are the different managers I've had, the other reps that I work with, and their different personalities. Learning what bits and pieces I want to take from how they interact with healthcare professionals, whether it's the surgeons themselves, even the anesthesiologists, the nurses, the scrub techs, the gatekeepers at the offices. I've been able to see how they work and see their progress. I observe that, and then I can take bits and pieces of what I think is the best route for myself.
In this particular industry, there's a lot of things that you don't learn from a textbook. The situations you get into are very technical. Every surgeon and every doctor you work with is going to have a different nuance, a different technique, a different approach that you're going to be responsible to learn, and then eventually pass that valuable information on to the next sales rep.
You learn a ton from each rep that you shadow or each new person that you are eventually mentoring, because you're in different cases, you're in different scenarios, and you can see the way that they stay organized, different ways, the different types of products that they bring to specific cases, and how to take notes and remember what each surgeon likes to use. And then when you're mentoring someone else, it also teaches you a lot too, because you're like, oh, I need to brush up on this topic or that procedure. So you learn a lot in teaching others as well.
Because you can learn so much from the business perspective, from watching your mentor and spending time with them. The intangibles that you could never get from the textbooks. And then to go on to mentor someone else, it's definitely different to know something and then actually have to try to teach it. So once you teach it and mentor someone else, you actually find yourself becoming better at things because you have to explain them in a different way. So explaining it and teaching it is different than just knowing it.
I would say it's important to be mentored because you get to see the different sales styles of different reps and kind of how they act within the industry and with others around them, and then you get to kind of form your own sales style based on like what works for you. And then I would say it's important to mentor others because I think within sports tech we kind of pass along a culture of honesty and reliability that helps us to be successful in the industry.
This is not an industry that you can necessarily just study for. Studying is a large part of it, but you have to watch how the reps interact with the doctors, with your materials management, with the nurses, with SPD. There's a lot of culture that's involved in the company and the business itself that you need to learn from another individual. And it's better to learn from someone who's experienced, has already gone through the trials, and then teach you and kind of guide you on your path. And then in essence, you're able to do that to the next rep. And I think Sports Tech has a very well put together structure for this, and I think that's a large part why they're successful.
I have a lot to learn, and the guys who are ahead of me have a lot to teach. and it'd be really foolish of me to not take their advice. And so I'm thankful for the mentors that I have. And as far as being able to mentor others, the idea is that they would be able to emulate what I do, and that means that what I'm doing has to be worthy of that. So on the one hand, I'm not left to this by myself, and I can actually look to others who are better than me and further ahead, and I can see the good things that they do. And on the other hand, when I mentor others, it keeps me accountable to make sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
I'm still trying to be better. I still want to learn. I don't feel like I've ever arrived. So I look for opportunities to be around other men that have done well in this industry and continue to do well. I'm hungry to learn. I want to get better. I'll pick something like negotiating or C-level suites or handling bigger deals, and I want to be around men that do that well. So I just look for opportunities to learn from those around me, and respect the opinions of those guys. And I'm humble enough to take the criticism if it's due, and work to change what I'm doing now to be better tomorrow.
On a daily basis, I listen, I observe, and I ask questions. It's been a goal of mine every single day that I go into the territory. I ask at least one question, and sometimes those questions are hard to come by, but I ask questions every single day, and they may be stupid, they may be something in the back of my head like I should probably know this, but you know what, I'm going to ask it anyway because I want to make sure that I know it. I want to make sure that I know the right answer. And so finding a surgeon that will answer those questions for you, that won't take offense, I think that has made me a lot better at my job. I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to be new, and you're going to, in about a year, you're going to think that you know things you don't. But that's okay. And then you're going to think that you know things at 3 years in, and you don't. And that's, again, okay. I've been doing this for, again, 10 years, and there are things that I still don't know, and that I get confused by, and that I should know, and I don't. It's impossible to be a doctor and a rep at the same time.
Ask questions to people that are older than you. I took a lot of time in the beginning not really asking a ton of questions. I tried to figure it out on my own. It was really difficult, and I think I could have excelled faster if I had actually asked questions and been more engaging with my managers, with my leaders, just reps around me, of asking more questions. Into my second year, I started to ask a lot more questions, and that helped me out a ton.
Pay close attention to everything that the senior reps are basically teaching you. Make sure you take a lot of notes, carry a pen and a notepad with you always, because you're always learning something new. And take the initiative to study up at night, at least 2 hours, 3 hours tops, of all of the procedures you saw that day and procedures that you're going to be doing the following day.
I think the best thing a new hire can do is become an asset to the staff of the OR. Learning the anatomy, learning the very intricacies and fine details of our cases is going to take a lot of time and experience, and building the surgeon's trust is going to take a while. But I think right from the start you can be an asset to the staff. Knowing the procedure and the flow of the case and our instruments, you can really guide a tech through a case and keep him 1 or 2 steps ahead of the surgeon and make his job a lot easier. You can have all the right implants and the instruments in the rooms ready to go, so the nurse can open, everything right, that has everything to open right there and doesn't have to worry about anything. You can help out the materials manager and take a look at their supply and stock in the back halls, and if they're running low on something, just give them a helpful little reminder of, hey, you're running low on this, you might want to reorder, or however they go about it. But just kind of showing that you're looking out for everyone and trying to make their jobs easier is, it's vital, and they'll all remember it. And it may seem like small parts of this job, but if the entire staff of an OR likes you, your odds of the surgeon liking you, I think, go way up.
For starting out, and within the first year of getting this job, I went through a couple books on sales. So if you haven't come from a huge background in sales, I definitely suggest doing that. It'll just help you figuring out the sales process. Secondly, I think just putting yourself out there, like asking the reps that are training you, hey, what are areas of weakness or areas that you think I need to be really intentional about working on. So for me, that was being vocal while in the OR, not in a not during inappropriate times, but like we're supposed to be running the back table, and if you're too afraid of like stepping on the tech's toes or too afraid of like being hurt, I guess, you're not going to do your job well. So I can remember being that being pointed out to me and just having to grow in that. So putting yourself out there and like giving the senior reps an opportunity to give you constructive criticism. So you could be teachable or you can just be really closed off. So I think just being willing to put yourself out there is super helpful.
I just tend to try to listen to any constructive criticism, whether or not I think a certain situation I did the right thing or said the right thing or had the right response. It isn't always portrayed that way. By always being able to listen and get feedback on how I said something, how I did in the sales presentation, or how I was able to lead another member of the team. By listening to that feedback, acting on it, and doing a better job or changing something, or just hearing what someone else has to say about maybe how I was portrayed or interpreted. That's always worked out well for me. It's usually when I listen to feedback versus say, I was right and I'm going to keep doing it this way.
Just getting prepared for the case on a number of different levels. So I've improved myself by not just reading the technique guide the night before and bringing all the right stuff. That will get you by. But if you want to improve yourself and become more valuable in the OR, I suggest you go above and beyond. With Arthrex, the portfolio is so vast and you're covering a good amount of cases per day, different types of cases with different surgeons, with different techniques, that preparing for a case is valuable and it goes a long way, and it's not going to go unnoticed. Bottom line, prepare for your cases. I can't say that enough.
Never stop learning the new products. Always stay up on that. Understand why you have the products you have. Understand the procedures. Understand why you do the things you do. Continue to stay up on the latest techniques and the latest clinical relevance to any sort of procedure that you're going into. So really the way you become better at your job is to continue to learn, continue to read, continue to seek counsel from the mentors and the people that have been in this business longer. They're a huge asset.
I would say it all starts with studying the anatomy, also spending time or extra time in labs after others leave, and just physically using our implants and instruments and getting to see how easy or how hard something actually is, because once you have your hands on our products, it makes it so much easier to instruct others on how to use them and what to do and what not to do.
I think the key thing is to really pay attention in the cases and to go home and kind of review what you've learned, and also prepare for the next cases and study and be watching videos and just keeping just a strict schedule with your what you're learning and trying to progress in what you know.
I would say it was equal parts frustrating, exciting, nerve-wracking, overwhelming, busy. If I can encourage you in any way, I would say do not count hours. You'll just drive yourself crazy, especially if you're coming from a job that was a wage per hour and you're transitioning into this role where it doesn't work that way. If you sit at home at night and you think, man, I worked X amount of hours today and my income doesn't reflect that, this job is a marathon. So you just have to finish the race well. Just keep running and run as hard as you can, and it'll be worth your while, I promise.
Well, I was 23. I got introduced to a group of accounts, and this was my first real career job that I had as a young man, and I had been doing construction up until then. So it was a lot of really weird days of me, like I said, troubleshooting stuff and trying to be as helpful as humanly possible, but being humble and asking a lot of questions. Watched a lot of competitive product go in, but I didn't know what I was doing, and I wasn't going to sell the surgeon on something that I didn't know. And so I learned a lot about my competitors' products, and that was a big deal. So I kind of learned my competitors' products probably before I learned my own, and that was helpful because then I could really dialogue with the surgeons about not only what we had, but what we could do in comparison to our competitors.
You'll probably hear this a lot, but drinking out of a fire hose. That's pretty much the description that everyone says. But it's true. There was a lot going on. I had no idea what I was doing, but everyone was asking me to do a bunch of different things every day, and I didn't know where I was going every day. I just kind of did what everyone was telling me to go do. So you feel like a chicken with your head cut off at times. You just kind of know direction. But the first few weeks were crazy. You're trying to intake all this information in surgery and trying to memorize all of the techniques and even trying to think about why the doctors are doing what they're doing. And at the same time, you're having to go do a bunch of other things outside of the operating room. So there was a lot going on, and it was a little intimidating.
So brushing up on anatomy, that's the base and the building block of this job, at least on the service side of our job. Knowing your anatomy is really super important. If you don't know your anatomy, you're going to look like a little bit of a fool in the OR, and you're going to lose credibility with the surgeon really quickly. Secondly, your first few weeks within your territory are so important. I know it's kind of cliche to talk about first impressions, or just we hear it all the time, but it's really important to make a good first impression. And not only to make a good first impression, but just to use that time. Like, no one expects you to know everyone when you're new. So just use that opportunity to get to meet people and to ask people, hey, what do you do? What's your role within this surgery center or within this hospital? Like, no one's going to look at you funny for asking those kinds of questions when you're brand new to a territory or like a facility. So just take advantage of that.
We have a huge portfolio, a huge bag of things that you can legitimately sell, which is good. Your clients and your surgeons and the OR staff and, different types of hospital staff are all going to depend on you. They're going to hold you accountable and responsible for knowing these things because you're the person bringing these into the account. This is your product. You should know the product inside and out. You look at the following cases for the following day or that week, and you study. You hit the books. In Arthrex, the website has a lot of really good resources to help you educate yourself. When they get into a bind, you're going to have to step up to the plate and find a solution.
My first few weeks in my new role were pretty chaotic. My teammates had just left for the national sales meeting that happens every year, and I had to just kind of figure things out on my own and jump into cases that I didn't know much about, but I learned a lot.
I would say very long days, always being asked upon to do things that others didn't want to do, and really just feeling overwhelmed with all the implants, the techniques, the logistics of setting up, the different accounts, covering cases, and cleaning up afterwards.
Well, I think at first it was an information overload. I was kind of just overwhelmed with everything that was happening. But as the days went on, I kind of learned how to manage how each bucket kind of filled into its own kind of opportunity and everything. And so just kind of taking one thing at a time, I think really helped me kind of be able to prepare what was happening and being able to talk to the doctors on the same level as them. So each week is getting better, and that's something that you can look forward to, is that you learn something new each week.
Knowing what I know now, I would encourage the past me to be very patient and also to ask as many questions as possible.
Get into as many hands-on labs as possible. What they're doing keeps you ahead, and being able to make mistakes in the lab and gives you the chance to actually rectify it there, because they're dealing with lives, so you don't want to practice on patients.
The biggest thing I would do differently is try and get my hands on as many trays and samples and instruments as possible, just to kind of get a little more hands-on experience. So when I'm talking to a tech or trying to describe how to use something, I have a little more experience with it since I've been more hands-on with it. It's vital to be able to get your hands on as many of the instruments as you can and try and put anchors into little models and play around with like a tightrope or anything. And I think all those, just having little experiences with all of our products will help make you feel more confident explaining things in the OR, and have a little more, be able to relate a little better to the techs who are using these on a daily basis. So I think that's the thing I would encourage my past self to do.
Have a sense of urgency. We're in a job where we have a quota. We're in a job where we're a team member, and we have this duty to our team to play our part and to not be the weak link in the chain. And I would say sense of urgency with your surgeon is important. That means, being in the surgeon's rotator cuff where you have a target for him, and not just letting 15 different cases go by where you don't approach him on that. That's a huge part of taking advantage of the opportunity you have. There is an element of being too forward, and you want to manage that the right way, and you'll learn that over time. But having this sense of urgency in needing to explore a road before it's too late, before all of a sudden a competitor's in your room who's just shown that surgeon that same technology, and you now having to fight against that product when you could have introduced that surgeon to that technology yourself.
To not worry about messing up as much and being stressed about having the right answer or making sure I say the right thing, but just being real and honest and saying like, hey, I'll get back to you on that, or find the answer and get back to them right away, rather than panicking about needing to know right that minute.
But at about the 2-year mark, Rod had called me into his office, and I wasn't performing well to that point. And Rod said, Josh, you got 90 days to figure it out, or we're going to have to make a change. And that change could have meant termination. It could have meant being downgraded to something else other than a sales rep. It would have affected me monetarily, at least. And so in that time frame, I was able to turn it around. And I looked for help from my team. I looked to men that had been successful and looked to be mentored. And I just took I think I made the jump from it being a job to, hey, this is my career. I have to figure it out. I have to provide for my family. And I did. And so now I'm 9 years in, still wanting to grow, still wanting to learn, still want to do all those things that can make me better in my role.
But look, I've made mistakes in my career, really bad ones. And some people took those mistakes and they ran with them. And I'm thinking of 2 instances specifically. And in both of those instances, I had relationships with surgeons that were concrete enough that as the issues and those situations arose and consequences were about to be doled out, they were squashed by those surgeons. Having relationships like that, because you're going to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes that are going to put you in jeopardy at accounts. It just is the fact. It's a fact of life. But having those relationships that are beyond just the professional relationships, where you go outside of the normal zone of your work and you make those relationships with those surgeons, they're gonna come to your aid when you need them.
So when I first started out, I was very impatient at times. I would get discouraged really easily, and it was mostly because I thought I would be at a certain level in where I was at in my job, and I just wasn't. It wasn't happening as fast as I thought it would. So I would say be patient and keep studying, keep working hard, keep doing what everyone's telling you to do. All of your managers and your team leaders and everything. Keep doing what they're telling you to do because they've been there, they've done it. And if you continue to be faithful to what others are, the tasks that others are giving you to do, then you'll see improvement and you'll see yourself catching on to things easier. And before you know it, 1, 2, 3 years will pass really fast, and you'll be so amazed at how much you've improved.
That I have learned to adapt to everything. Adaptability is key to success, and that has been my greatest victory, and that has brought a lot of success into what I've been able to do. And
the greatest challenge was learning something that I had absolutely no clue, that I'd never seen, with a difficult system. Kind of learning how to use the iBalance HTO set. If you look at the set, it's not an easy set to learn. It's not very intuitive. It's a great set, but it just takes a lot of figuring out. You have to really look at it a lot. So to learn that set, to teach that set to fellows, to surgeons, to scrub techs, and then to implement that set in surgery for a successful procedure has probably been the greatest challenge so far.
Having attention to detail. I think it's very, very important that through all the craziness that happens day in and day out for us, that being detailed in responses, being detailed in how you write down your schedule, being detailed in what you bring to the case, being detailed in how you run your business and how you go for your quota is very important, and I think is really one of the most important parts. You can be the best salesman, but you may not be detailed, and you may drop balls, and you may miss out on things and lose trust because of you weren't able to have that detail. And remember, detail establishes trust, and trust establishes loyalty. Loyalty establishes dollar.
Going from a short-sighted mindset to a long-term mindset, and rather than just putting my head down and focusing on the task at hand, it's important to stop and look up and have a farther view, and to see things where I want to be in a year or 5 years or 10.
I would say in a nutshell, a third of it is covering cases. A third of my day is preparing for cases logistically, mentally, physically, emotionally, and a third of it is probably sales, but you have to integrate that into your schedule.
My greatest challenge has been learning to take ownership. This isn't a desk job or a simple 9 to 5 where you can clock in and clock out. You need to own everything you do. It always falls on the rep, it seems to be. So definitely taking ownership and mastering what you're doing.
I would say complacency. Maybe you've heard it said that complacency comes from success. So you're successful for a season and you're like, wow, this is a pretty easy deal. You begin to get complacent, and then once you're complacent, you fail. And I've fallen victim to that. I don't think that we should ever be comfortable with where we are or the relationships that we have. Never take them for granted, and continue to push to be better at your job, because I guarantee that the competition is going to be pushing to get better. And once you get complacent, you will fail, and it's hard to overcome that once you've burnt bridges or whatever that looks like.
What has been my greatest challenge? Myself. So I'm a little rough around the edges. I can be impersonable at times and intense. And that intensity can give off a, like, I don't want to talk to you kind of vibe. My greatest challenge has been breaking through that, maintaining my intensity, but also being relational and being constantly relational and not wanting to ever shut down, even though the last thing I want to do at the end of my day is go talk to one more nurse about a case or one more doctor about a case or a product or something. That drains me. I'm an introvert at heart, and so I get recharged by being by myself. And my greatest challenge has been overcoming that.
My greatest challenge was adapting to changes in the industry, to the business, to our structure and how we do things. Arthrex is always changing because we are innovative, and therefore Sports Tech has to change along with Arthrex. And my greatest challenge was adapting originally, probably because I was selfish and prideful.
So far, my greatest challenge has been trying to win the respect of different accounts and different doctors being so young. I'm only 25 right now. I started this job when I was 23, and I still look, pretty young to this day. So, it's not the easiest thing to walk into an OR and meet a doc for the first time or meet a staff for the first time and, win them over being so young. A lot of these doctors are, twice my age, have kids that are older than me. A lot of the, there's techs and nurses around this industry that have been doing this longer than I was alive. So, there's a little bit of walking in, they kind of hesitant to trust you and, really listen to what you say because you're so young, but I think I've been able to overcome this by just coming every day prepared and acting professional and, kind of showing that I am very serious about this job and that I take it, I take great pride in it. And continue to work, a lot of people don't realize how young I am and they assume that I'm a lot older. And it's, it's helped me be successful in this industry, just, kind of carrying myself in a very professional manner and trying to act, a little older than I really am.
Thinking back a couple of years when I was kind of right at the point of, or at least it came to a point of kind of making it or breaking it, and I didn't want to take my job too lightly, and so I don't think I was doing a good job on the relational side of this job. I wasn't having fun with the staff that I was working around, or even in the OR. Sometimes it's appropriate to have light conversation or even joke around in the OR a little bit, but I was not doing a good job of that. So at the end of the day, your relationships are really important. That's the key to this job, so you can't focus too heavily on one side or the other. So that was one of my biggest challenges, is overcoming that and just finding joy in the job and in the friendships that you make within the facilities. You're going to see these people daily almost, and so being able to make friends even within your job is really important.
Not understanding the difference between being busy versus actually selling something. Now, what I mean when I say that is, when I first started, I thought that by running sets around or covering cases and cleaning up and doing all this stuff, I thought I was actually selling something. But actually not, because that business was already here when I joined the team. Now, when I actually started to get doctors to use new products of ours or to bring new doctors on to use our stuff, that's when you're really starting to contribute. Now, don't get me wrong, helping out is always contributing, but we're in the business of sales and our number is not ever going down, so we're always going to need to keep growing that number. So the sooner that new reps are able to understand how everything works, the sooner they are able to start actually selling something.
At Sports Tech Medical, we work as a team, and I know the guys on my team are all in. I can think of a guy, Mike Egley, and anytime something comes up last minute, anytime something pops up maybe on a weekend, he's the first guy to volunteer himself. He's the first guy to try to make a morning delivery or try to do something late in the afternoon, and that's inspiring.
Our integrity, whenever anything comes up that's questionable or whenever we encounter a challenge, they are typically asking me what I possibly could have done that was either not fair or not right, or that did I maintain integrity when a challenge arises, or even when an accusation is met or made. So I would say I see it most as my leaders keeping me accountable, and then when I'm talking to a younger rep, making sure that everything that I tell them how to conduct themselves, there's nothing shady going on. Everything is about character and how we conduct ourselves. So again, that goes back to having a longer view and not being short-sighted, not just trying to win a battle, but pursuing and actually winning the war.
How have I grown the most in this organization? You're going to want to question authority, probably, because you're going to be in a position where you may think that you know how to do something better. And you know what, Daniel? You may have it. You may know how to do something better than somebody that's has more authority than you. I used to go about it really wrong. I used to buck and try to shirk authority and challenge and question and grind, and it was unhealthy to those around me and above me, and that was a problem. It was a problem that had to be dealt with. It was my problem within my own heart, and I think my growth in that area has probably where I've grown the most in this organization, in this job. I don't do that anymore. I don't need to. I think I've learned to look at the positive in people versus the negative, and always hoping in the best in people within our organization, and not being a pessimistic, critical, that guy. Like, I'm trying not to be that guy. So I think that's where I've grown the most. And honestly, it's healthy for you. So if you feel like you're going down that road, I'll just let you know, it's a road filled with misery and pain, and it's not gonna be good for you. It's gonna affect your team. Be submissive, know how to submit, and know how to voice your opinion in a constructive way, because your opinions are valuable. But not when there are constant challenges to those around you and above you. And if a doctor picks up on that crap, he's going to smack you down.
The position's a little unique, I think, in this sense. I am still relatively new. I've only been with the company for 2 years, but I feel like I've pretty quickly gone from being the new hire of San Diego to now, one of the more veteran reps of San Diego. And that's not just, because of, how quickly I picked up things and whatnot, but, there's been some turnover in our in our organization and in our territories where, we lost some reps to different jobs or different territories, and now all of a sudden, I'm no longer the newest guy on the team, but now, one of the veteran sports reps of San Diego. And I think it just kind of goes to show that in sports tech, there's always new opportunities coming up, new, avenues that your career can go, and that, if you work hard and do well, you don't have to, you're not necessarily the new hire for very long, and you can find your way into some success and some more important roles within the company. So, I'm very fortunate for the opportunities I've had, and I've been able to go now from I don't really look at myself as a new hire anymore, and am able to contribute more to the company.
Staying up to date on studies, staying up to date on what Arthrex releases, staying up to date on your competition is also important being to your job, because it allows you to have the most current information, and that's how medicine rolls. You need to be paying attention to what's going on at the count. You need to be paying attention to what other reps are doing. You need to be paying attention to what the surgeon is saying about your product and about other products, because all of these can be hot leads.
I believe I've grown most in this organization in my people skills and communication, learning how to work with all different types of personalities, all different coworkers and surgeons and staff of the hospital. You're just in a lot of different scenarios that can be tense, and lots of different personalities come out differently, and you learn how to work and manage through those. Also learning how to take criticisms and turning it into constructive criticism and learning from it, instead of beating yourself up or getting frustrated and shutting down, and learning how to make yourself better.
I would say there's probably 2 ways overarching that I've grown in this organization. I would say 1 in knowledge of business, and 2 in maturity in life. And I believe both of those are directly related to the leadership that we have with this organization. This leadership is unique. You won't find it other places. And what I mean by that is this is a group of men that lead this company that encourage you to learn and to grow, but then really give you practical ways and give you wisdom and ideas on how to do that. So they have helped me immensely in my growth in my business knowledge, not only from direct contact with them, but even just watching what they do, and then in maturity as you watch them interact with people, and you learn and glean wisdom from them. So I would say plug into them and use them as an asset, because they are one of our greatest assets in this company.
Call it, I guess, being a grown-up, but looking at this as a career and not a job. And so this is what I'm hopefully going to be doing until I retire. And with that being said, I need to conduct myself today in a way that's going to benefit me in 10, 15, 20 years. And I don't mean just getting ahead fiscally, I just mean successful in life. And that doesn't always mean only doing one thing all the time, like only working all the time and neglecting my family, or only covering cases and not actually going to visit offices and working on future sales. So it's taught me how to look, again, pursue vision and think through where am I going to be in 10, 15, 20 years. And before I had this job, I didn't do that. I just thought I'll get through this day, or I'll get through this week, or I'll get through this month. And now I'm thinking 10 years, 5 years, 20 years, where am I going to be?
My best bit of advice for a new hire is to get uncomfortable. You should be in situations where you're pressed to learn. You don't want to just hide behind the guy you're shadowing. You want to ask surgeons questions. You want to get involved, and you want to strive for medical knowledge.
Would be to establish trust early. That takes time, and it takes a consistent pattern of behavior to establish trust. Those doctors came to my aid because they trusted me, and they knew that it was a mistake on my end, and that it would never happen again, and that I wasn't doing it maliciously. But that was because they trusted me. They knew who I was. You want to get business from a surgeon, and you want to convince him to use your stuff. Establish trust. Trust has to be there, and like I said, it takes time. It takes time to build. And unfortunately, sometimes it can take a momentary lapse in judgment to destroy. And you've got to be prepared as much as you possibly humanly can be, day in and day out, because being prepared will help you establish trust. You need to be able to go into each day prepared, like you never have to depend on another person. But also at the same time, you need to depend on your teammates, but not in a burdensome manner. So you need to be prepared to deal with your own stuff. But don't ever get in a situation where the surgeon turns around and asks you a question, and you are about 95% sure that you know the answer, and you don't take the time to say, you know what, I'm about 95% sure that this is the answer, but you know what, let me double check. Let me double check with my team. Step outside, call, text, do what you got to text in the OR, doesn't matter. Figure it out. Get somebody else's stamp on it, because that will, one, show that you're not trying to just off-the-cuff answers that a surgeon's not going to trust. It's going to show that you care. It's going to show you care about the patient on the table. And it's going to show that you're not going to try to BS a surgeon in a moment of pressure. And it's huge. That has been huge for my career. The surgeons that I work with trust me implicitly, and it's not a momentary build. A lot of what you will find out there in the medical field will be reps that BS surgeons on the regular, and oftentimes some of it will fly. But man, there are some surgeons out there that you start shoveling that stuff around and you're done. You are done with them, not only then, but for a long period of time afterwards. So trust is like a currency, man. You build it, use it, have a bank of it. Don't mess it up. Don't let it go to your head. Just have it. Have it. It is something to be maintained and cultivated over the length of your career, and I hope it is long. It's going to be hard for you. It's going to be hard for you as you get going, because they're not going to trust you, especially if you're young. And by young, I mean 22, 23, 24, 25. I'm now I kind of view myself in the sweet spot because I work with a lot of residents, and I'm now to the point where I'm older than most of the residents that are coming, like right around the same age, but a little bit older than most of the residents coming through, which gives me a platform with them that I used to not have. But when I was younger, the trust took longer to establish, and it's going to be a long time for you. But don't give up. Don't give up on establishing that trust. Good luck to you. Use your team as much as you possibly can. Learn as much as you possibly can. Study. Be prepared. Be analytical. Think outside the box. Listen. Observe. Ask questions. Ask as many questions without being obnoxious as you possibly can.
Study. Pay close attention to details. Learn all your products. Know what you're talking about. Don't go into the surgery thinking that you know everything, and don't lie. Be transparent. If a surgeon asks you a question and you don't know the answer to it, don't make something up. Just say, "Doc, I don't know the answer to it, and I'll find out for you right away." Because they'll appreciate honesty a lot more than you trying to blow smoke. So just my best piece of advice is be honest, transparent, and if you don't know something, tell the docs you will find out for him the answer and get back to them right away. If you have to reach out to them via email or text, even a phone call, these guys will appreciate it because they know that you're taking your time to figure out the answer for them.
Focus on the patient, not so much the product. If you can give the surgeon a reason why this product is better for the patient and have that information and have that presentation be logical and accurate, it's going to be harder for them to say no, or at least it'll get them thinking as to what the benefits is for this product. That also falls in line with Arthrex's motto of helping surgeons treat their patients better.
How crucial it is for you to just learn and just understand. If you don't understand something, ask questions. Just have a vested interest, try to learn as much as possible, write down as much as you can, and learn from the rep you're with. That's the most important.
You know, the most important thing is it's not going to be easy at first. You're going to be feel very lost and not valuable when you go to the OR and you're shadowing. You're going to be learning a lot. I think adjusting is going to be a key part. You know, every day is going to be different for you. You're going to be in a different count every day. You're going to be seeing different people every day. You're a lot of adjusting to do on a day-to-day level. Study. Learn that anatomy from the head to the toe. You're not going to comprehend or understand some of these techniques without knowing the anatomy and what is being used and how the body functions biologically speaking. Every doctor has a different technique, and then slowly, once you get the techniques down and the nuances and things like that, you can dip into white papers, clinical studies, and you know, studying anatomy, techniques, and white paper, that's just going to make you a better salesperson overall. It's going to make you more polished. It's going to make you more confident. And if you can comprehend on an audio level on what doctors are discussing with one another or the staff, or maybe talking to you, and you can't see, but you can envision and you understand and comprehend where he is in the body and what he's trying to achieve, goes a long way.
To study each night, to stay on top of what notes they took that day in procedures, and to prepare for what possible cases they might cover the next day, even cases they may not be expecting to cover but could possibly get thrown into last minute. Being prepared for those things and asking questions the night before to make sure they're ready for that. Also being a team player, as there might be days that aren't the most fun and you're running around a bunch of trays last minute, but always staying positive, recognizing that you're doing it for the team and how much that means to your team and the difference it is making, and always being in communication with everyone in your team and checking in, making sure you're all on the same page and that they know where you're at, and vice versa.
I would say kind of two categories. I would say one would be discipline, and two, be an asset. So for being disciplined, you want to be able to control the things that you can and have control over in this business. As we know, there's not very many, but there are certain things that you do. For instance, what time you go to sleep the night before, what you studied the night before, things that you have prepared in your car or whatever for the surgery, being early to the surgeries that you are able to, things like that. And you think about let's say a football team. In the off season, you're expected to lift weights and eat certain things and study plays and things like that. And that sort of mentality should transition into a job like this, as you're part of a team and there's an expectation of your preparedness. So being disciplined in those things, continuing to learn, and bringing value to your team, I think that's very important. The other thing is be an asset. When I say be an asset, don't just be another rep that can open product and things like that, but help the surgeon to be better. Have thought through all of the potential issues that could go wrong in a surgery and be prepared and thought through on those. Come up with ideas that will make the surgery go better, and then learn how to deliver those appropriately to whatever surgeon it is, as we know they are all different and you have to approach them differently. So you'll want to learn and start to figure that out. So be an asset. Help the account to save money, and that doesn't always mean and hardly ever means just a lower price. There's other ways you can think through that. Help things to go smoothly. Be thinking through how you can be an asset and not just a rep. The final thing I would say is you must have a mentality of not just covering cases. So with being an asset, you're also working on your business, thinking about how you can grow your business. And in those conversations where you're helping the account and you're helping the surgeon to be better, all those should be underneath the umbrella of having to work on your business, and that is growing your business every year and thinking through those things.
By knowing the anatomy. I think that's kind of your foundation for where it's where everything starts. And once you understand the anatomy, then you understand how our implants work, and you can talk intelligently with doctors and are able to answer questions that they may have.
It's just to make sure you're paying attention to the cases, what the doctors have to say, including asking them questions during the case. There's not every single second of the case they'll be able to answer questions, but it is important to ask them good questions about what's going on. Also, you need to be able to study and have a really strict schedule, and to make sure that you know what's going on for the next day. And also ask your territory manager for advice. And they're always open for communication. They'll call you and give you advice if you need it. So
I trust my leaders. I trust their integrity. I see them conduct themselves the same way in the OR as they do in the office, as they do a Sunday morning. That's what's most important to me, and in that sense, I also have the conviction that I need to be the same every day, whether I'm talking to somebody in the OR, whether I'm talking to a surgeon in their clinic, or whether I'm talking to an administrator, or I'm talking to one of my bosses or a fellow rep. I need to be the same person no matter who I'm talking to. And so I would say trust your leaders. They've been where you are and have been beyond that, and they have what's your best interests in mind, as well as the interests of your family, which is pretty hard to find.
Fasulio. Unique New York. Unique New York. I know. That's Anchorman. It's a classic. I love Scotch.
Hey, why are you guys still here? You should be studying.